Okay, people are filing in here. We have about 30 seconds, under a minute, and we are going to hit it. I'm going to be incredibly intentional with our time tonight from East Coast people, about 5 o'clock Eastern for y'all. And hopefully, you're ending a very productive and profitable day. So, I know it's the end of your day. Just letting everyone file in here. We have top of the hour, so I'm going to hit it. Yes, this is being recorded. We'll send it to you at the end. You are in the right place. We're going to talk about how to build a self-managed law firm team without micromanaging, babysitting, burnout, and the frustration loop. So I'm really excited to hit this with you all today. I have my team member here, Bless. You see her in the corner. She's our cruise director today. Anything that you need, please reach out. Message Bless, private message Bless. Myself, a lot of times people don't like to put comments or questions in the public chat. We're all for that. Thank you to those of you that have communicated questions that you wanted to make sure that we hit. We're going to hit that at the end for the Q&A. And for those that stay until the end, we are going to give you a free gift. We're going to give you our 5-step law firm freedom framework that we are going through today. And we're going to give you the workbook, and that will be emailed with the recording. So let's hit it, and let's tell a little bit about my story and why I am so incredibly passionate about transforming law firms one employee at a time. So my story, I started out with, like many of your first critical team members that you hired. It was in the mid 90s. I was at the tender age of 27 years old. And back then you replied and applied to jobs through the old-fashioned classified ads in the paper. Anybody else that's old enough to remember that time, such as me, I landed my first job in the legal space at the National Network of Estate Planning Attorneys, which I am forever grateful for, and was assigned to a practicing attorney in Tampa, Florida. We were based out of Denver, Colorado, where I still reside today, almost 29 years later. And think about it then, back in the late 90s, of working virtually for an attorney. So I supported the attorney in regards to launching the very first, to my knowledge, coaching program in the legal space. Back then, it wasn't a household term. It wasn't an office term for attorneys to invest in personal and professional development and growth. And so I was assigned to support this attorney with launching the first program. And it was an absolute honor, but I was employee mentality back then. You know, many employees get this unspoken rule book, which is be grateful to have a job, keep your mouth shut, do what you're told, show up on time, and you will be rewarded with a paycheck. Well, I was fortunate enough to have an attorney who was classically and professionally trained as a coach. He had invested thousands and thousands of dollars in Hoffman Institute, Strategic Coach, Landmark Education, all of the top-notch coaching programs out there in the world. And he had really became a coach and a mentor first and foremost, and shared with me, your very first job is going to be to hop on a plane and shadow me in my law firm. Sit through every single solitary client meeting. I want you to watch from Monday to Friday, shadow me in every world. And in fact, I actually stayed at his home with him too, to see how he was just constantly playing whack-a-mole, and went back to his full-time job with his wife and kids and what have you. And thankfully, I had a really wonderful relationship with his wife and family as well. But I can tell you that by Tuesday, I was exhausted and in physical tears. I was like, Steve, I can't believe you didn't get a cup of water. You never got a break. Every time you came out of a conference room trying to close clients, there was a line of employees that were all delegating back up to you, not coming with purpose. He's like, exactly. And this is going to be our job when we get into the conference room with all these attorneys that we're launching this first coaching program. This is what every single one of them, business owners that own a law practice are experiencing every single day. And so I was fortunate. Many of you don't have the time, you don't have the training, you don't have the classical coaching aspect training behind you, and maybe even the desire to become a professional coach for your employees. And I get it. I hear it every single day. So we hopped on the plane, did our very first coaching program in San Diego, I think it was. We had 77 law firm owners in the room. My job was to be the client service coordinator, greet them, get them seated, support them through their journey, through the training, make them feel welcomed at the coffee break, lunch breaks, all that jazz. And it was fascinating because the first coffee break on day one, afterwards, Steve and I debrief and he's like, okay, tell me what you took away. Like 100% of these attorney business owners, the common theme was business would be great, but for the employees. Like, why aren't the team members here with them? Why are we not pouring into the team members? They're getting all this training, all this learning, and then they're coming back with the binders, the strategic roadmaps, the ideas, and what have you. And what I'm hearing from them, it fall flat. Nobody cares. Nobody wants to step up and lead. You guys know the drill. This resonating with anyone? So that was really the birthing of the very first. He said, great. I had an entrepreneur and an attorney that said, you identified the problem, design the solution. And that's really the essence of where I really stepped into my why and my purpose and my mission, which is to transform law firms one employee at a time. Because I had the absolute gift and honor to have an attorney that came with this classical training, but many of you do not have that, either the time to invest in that and or the desire, but you feel like you're banging your head on hard surfaces every single day, which I appreciate and I understand. And I want you to know today, I got you. My goal is that you walk away with notes and some proposed solution because I see brilliant attorneys burning out every single day trying to run a business that they were never trained to manage. And I personally, yes, I want this on my grave, on my tombstone, that I want to give attorneys their lives back by developing and pouring into their team that you already have in place. And so today we're going to talk about that. I share with you my business journey. I'm going on 29 years now of serving in the legal space, and I absolutely love it. I believe that attorneys are grossly misunderstood in regards to, and not from the team members' perspective of really understanding what's at stake. Yes, your name's on the building. Yes, we have a thing called malpractice and bar association and what have you. But most employees are coming in thinking their job is to be an employee. Like I said, the unspoken rule, do what you're told, keep your mouth shut, don't come with any ideas. And then I hear on the flip side from attorneys and entrepreneurs, which I experienced with mine 29 years ago and now have served over 5,000 and counting law firms, is that we don't have all the answers. We need our team members to step up and lead, is what I hear over and over and over again. So tonight, I want you to turn off all distractions. Give yourself this gift of time, space, and grace to have a 2 millimeter shift, to have an aha moment, to walk away with some real, tried, tested, proven tools, strategies, and ideas as we go through the 5-step framework. Turn your email off because guess what? You all know there's nothing but landmines and triggers in there, and it's going to rob you from your attention tonight. So hopefully I have some law firm leaders, CEOs, PLAs, critical team members here too, because this question's for you in this presentation and this masterclass day is for you as well. Here's a question for y'all. How many interruptions did you experience yesterday or maybe even today? One of the first things I have law firm owners and really every team member on the bus do is to track their interruptions. I have get emails every single day where they're like, this exercise sucks. It's so cathartic. It's 10:20 in the morning and I've already had 27 interruptions and I barely had my first cup of coffee. Yeah, I got it. Maybe that hit a little too close home for some of you. Maybe your team is consistently bringing you problems versus proposed solutions. How many of you are experiencing where your team is showing up with proposed solutions and not problems? How many of you have systems that live in your head, maybe as the golden goose, as the law firm operator, and or in your longest standing employee? And I don't mean by age, but years of service. Your very first employee that had that Jerry Maguire moment with you with the goldfish and you hung your own shingle and everything is living in their head. And sometimes the oldest employee, again, not by age, is operating in tribal knowledge. And sometimes unconsciously, they want to hold on to everything because they're the gatekeeper of how we've done things. How many of you, what could be possible for your firm if your team really took true ownership in 90 days or less, 12 weeks from now? What could be possible for you as a visionary, as an entrepreneur? If you're anything like myself and entrepreneurs I speak to every day, the ones in my mastermind groups and my own coaching groups, and what I hear from attorneys when they come into our world of saying that they're so time strapped and so time starved, and they're on the brink of that breakout. So if you've answered any of these and you're here today, chances are you are ready for a shift. Even a 1% shift could make a world of difference and be practice altering for you. Maybe you're here because you're frustrated but determined. I just got out of open coaching hour with law firm admin boot camp right before this call today. And we were talking about, somebody said, my attorney is always frustrated. It seems like nothing is ever good enough. I can't wait until we quote unquote get caught up on all of our process improvements and enhancements that we want. I'm like, okay, guys, time out. Number one, your attorney's number one bullet point within their job description is to always be frustrated. And it's always that nothing's ever good enough. They're an entrepreneur, they're a visionary. Your job, team member, is to identify that the second you get the look, the second you feel the energy, and allow them to puke it out and to name it so you can take it and put it on a project focuser or touch it once and handle it. So a lot of times I think as business owners, we beat ourselves up because we're always frustrated, and the team members are always beating themselves up because they feel like they're the source of your frustration. Maybe they are, but it's time for that shift and that breakthrough. So which one are you? You may be the curious leader who is consistently on social media in these different private lawyer, phenomenal, amazing lawyer groups that I see out there, whether it be Lawyer on the Beach or Maximum Lawyer or any of my personal favorite ones. And you're like, how is this attorney, maybe of imposter syndrome and or comparison syndrome, where you are the curious leader? You're like, how is this possible? How do they have a team that runs things like this? How are they lawyering on the beach? How are they making it happen with how do they get their team to embrace accountability? Maybe you're number two, where you are the motivated leader and you're ready to make the shift and lead with more structure and clarity that's not dependent on you. Or maybe you are the frustrated but determined leader who is absolutely like waving that white flag and surrendering and done with carrying it all. Just even those words, when I hear them, they bring chills from feet to the top of my head because I physically can feel that. You know, you might be carrying it here in your neck and your shoulders or what have you, feel like you are absolutely carrying a backpack full of cinder blocks every single day trying to swim upstream. But you're committed to building a team that steps up and absolutely can they lead. I'd love to hear where you guys are at. Are you a one? Are you a two? Are you a three? Guilty of that. a 3. Yeah. Yeah. And that's okay. They always say step one is what? Awareness. But my goal is that you don't sit in awareness hell where you feel like you have no way out of that. So, wherever you are, I want you to know I get you, I see you, and I fully support you. You are not alone. And my only request is that you do not weaponize and beat yourself up for it. I see attorneys every single day writing on social media and sharing or on calls to me. Oh, I just enrolled in this management and leadership program. I just know that I suck at management. I know I just need to get better at leadership. Like, no, you don't. If that was your goal, you'd be applying for a general manager position at Chili's. Your job's not to become a better manager or leader. Your job is to hire, right? And to empower your people to step up and lead and do that. And I know it's not as simple as that, but you are 100% one self managed team away from having the time, freedom, and freedom for me is about mental clarity and stop living in this consistent wonder and worry place up here on your noggin. The freedom when people say they want this, the solution to freedom is clarity, and we're going to talk a lot about clarity today. It really is that simple to have the income and the impact that you envisioned when you became an attorney, when you became an entrepreneur. You're a business owner that happens to own a law practice. And I'm super excited because, like I said, I've been doing, the legal industry for 30 years almost now. And when I first started out and working within that national network that I joined, it was very difficult for attorneys to really embrace and look and interact with their business as a business. And so it's my goal today. Here's where we're going. Step one, we're going to talk about accountability and ownership. Mindset and habits is step two. We're going to talk about communication mastery, and that mastery is handpicked intentionally. Step four, data and analytics. Step five, how to get to freedom, whatever that definition is for you. And as we go through these, and hopefully you have pen and paper, you have a legal pad, a journal, what have you. I really want you to start articulating what freedom means for you. And when I say articulation, it means it's clear, concise, trackable, and measurable at the end when we can really say, yes, I have arrived based on what your definition is, not based on whatever other social platform or what have you tells you. We're going to talk about how to work with me, and then yes, we are going to hit the Q&A. Put the Q&As in the chat, private message them, send them to me, send them to Bless throughout. This is your time. Get the most out of it. So let's talk about step one, which is accountability and ownership. I hear every single day from business owners, nobody wants to be accountable. I am here to breathe some massive hope into this room today that your team is desperate. The employees that I talk with actually love accountability. It's all in the setup and the framing. Intentions are well, but it's all on the delivery. People have this very skewed version of what that terminology means and how to make that shift from I'll just do it myself. How many times have you guys said that maybe in the past day, past week, past 48 hours versus stopping yourself in your tracks because you have full faith and confidence that you no longer have to operate from that place because you have that shift to my team owns it no matter what. Accountability, and I touched on this a minute ago, equals clarity. I cannot tell you how desperate, myself included, whether it's a marketing strategy, whether it's a SOP, whether it's how to implement AI and collapse and condense time, what have you. It's the big piece of that is having clarity on that, where everyone knows what done looks like. And that clarity plus ownership is how you get to accountability. Everybody knows what done looks like. More often than not, I can't even get the entrepreneur or the law firm leader to identify what done looks like. Always beginning with the end in mind and backing into that before we launch and start doing anything. What does it look like? You're going to hear me say this over and over again. If there's nothing else you take away from tonight, it's that clear, concise, trackable, measurable. That's really about accountability. Expectations are measurable and they're not assumed. We do a debrief after every single cell, and I'm going to get into some communication standards. No more are we just having coffee clutch conversations. How exciting would it be for you to have your team member walk in tomorrow and show up differently? And when you give something, a direction to them or hand them something, they're talking, walking, acting like a CEO. What's my due date on this? To clarify, this is what you want done. This is how we know what it done looks like. Everybody works and all work moves forward without relying on the attorney. They're coming to you with presentations consistently and proposed solutions versus peppering you or maybe hammering you with consistent questions and delegating back up. So the accountability, the tools that build accountability and ownership, literal ownership, and using communication like our clients, they take it personally when a ball is dropped because it starts with role clarity and scorecards that define outcomes. Many people, when I work with them on their job, are you clear on your role? And they puke it out to me or what have you. I'm like, you're wearing three different hats. The average person in a law firm is wearing three different hats at any given time. And that's okay. But are you clear on the KPIs and the job descriptions and the scorecards for each one of those job descriptions that you're holding? When I assign people, bring me your job descriptions, 9 out of 10 people bring me a job ad that they reply to, not a job description. So role clarity plus time chunking with focus execution without constant interruptions. I don't know if this resonates with any of you, but I'll hear people say, I never can get caught up. I have all these overdue tasks, or I walk in the morning and I get whacked with 72 tasks or whatever it might be. And how am I supposed to quote unquote get my job done? I'm like, let's reframe this because your job description is your tasks. Your tasks are your job description in motion. Most people interact with the job description like a one and done, and they don't use it as a living, breathing document that is baked into their calendar. I tell the team members this every single day. Your attorney is the one who has the most accountability within the law firm out of anyone, or the owner or the operator. I say this to my own team. And you know why and how I know that? Look at my calendar. It is color coded if it's initial consultation. It is color coded if it's a marketing. It is color coded on what stage or step in the process where we're onboarding and serving clients. And it's incredibly clear. Nobody questions what I'm doing all day. They can open up my calendar for the rest of the year and tell you exactly the KPIs that are attached to my job description as a business owner and the ones that come under that. You might still be an attorney serving clients. You might be an attorney that's the talking head of the company and doing podcasting and marketing and workshops and speaking engagements, what have you. So getting the team to really embrace that your overdue tasks, that your upcoming tasks are not additional work. They are your job description in motion when you can make, we're going to talk about mindset and habits, when you can make that shift. But it all starts with that role clarity, gang. And if anything, walking off of today, really want you to put time on the calendar with your team to go back and really look at this. Do an audit, pull up their calendars and look at what they have chunked out there. They will tell you everything about the clarity in their job description and their KPIs. where we have weekly reporting attached to KPIs within the job description. They are structured huddles that build consistency and persistency in that. And it also, a strategic byproduct of that will tell you where you have capacity issues and giving you clues of where your next hire is. Step 2 is that mindset and habits attached to that. Mindset, this word has been floating around since there was a book that came out that's phenomenal. I'd highly recommend by Carol. I can't remember her name. Bless, maybe you could do a research for me and throw it in the chat. That'd be great. But mindset is, this fuzzy word, just like accountability, where they'll be like, oh, they have horrible mindset, or they don't have the right mindset, or they don't have growth mindset, or they have fixed mindset. We have all these labels attached to that. But step 2 is really getting clear on the mindset and the habits. And the mindset, again, is not a one and done. It starts and ends with them making the shift from employees to entrepreneurs in every single role. Even virtual assistants, when people say, well, just a receptionist. No, I just have a virtual assistant oversee, what have you. Every single person on your team, independent contractor, what have you, this is rule number 1, where they don't sit around and they're not taskmasters waiting for you to give assignments. They use language like our clients. They believe they care just as much about the business. The only thing missing is their name is not on the building and they do not have the financial risks attached to that. Making that mental shift from telling me what to do. If you're like any of the law firms that I've met with today, even alone, this is the number one complaint, that people are sitting around and waiting that versus coming to you with proposed solution. Moving from task doers to project managers. This came up in a conversation last week too about, well, what's wrong with task stewards? Isn't that what we're trained to do in our CRMs in between our funnels and our stages and our workflows and what have you? But yes, it's the automation that is driving that. But your team members are walking, talking, and acting like a project manager. They are moving from compliance to critical thinking. I don't know if this word like sends shivers down anyone here today's spine, but I know critical thinking is what I consistently hear from people, that they're just missing that critical thinking, which really goes hand in hand with that project manager and your team members to shift from that. Yes, it's a law firm. Yes, there's compliance. Yes, there's a lot of anxiety attached to administrative staff and support staff around that because they don't want to mess things up, because they know, in medical and legal and what have you, there's real cause, effect, and compliance and what have you. But they're honoring that. They know what that means while also coupling that with the critical thinking pieces of that. Tools that build mindset and habits. Number 1 is emotional regulation under pressure. Any of my litigators that are here today that have gone through Trial Lawyers University or any of those phenomenal programs out there, if you're in a courtroom, you know a thing or two about this, right? What you experience is with your team members, like, how do I train and teach them that, of learning how to stay calm and thinking clearly, like the gift I got at the tender age of 27, when I have no confidence and never worked in a law firm before, and I had an attorney that poured into that and taught me this first and foremost is paramount about being able to build that. Some people call this confidence. Some people call this competence. Some people call this maturity. But at the core of it is really emotional intelligence is another buzzword around here, which is very difficult to articulate and implement and get it in your team's bone and blood. So often when things really break down, it's because they get triggered and they don't know how to self-soothe and self-regulate, especially when stress is high, deadlines are looming, and clients are calling, and there's real things at stake like revenue and or getting fired by a client or dropping a ball on a court calendar, whatever it might be. You all probably are making a list in your head right now, but staying calm, thinking clearly, and making sound decision when clients, deadlines, or even the attorney are stressed out. Like I said earlier, when they can sense it and feel it, and really understanding how to be that for you, for me, for you, for us is what I always train my team members that are in our law firm admin boot camp. Tools that build mindset and habits are asking better questions, powerful questions. You guys know what this looks like and feels like. Maybe you've interviewed somebody in the past. You're like, this is 100% the person, because that's a phenomenal question. When you catch yourself saying that, or say, wow, I didn't even think of that. They're asking not only better questions, but powerful questions, and the question behind the question, whether it's internal or external with prospective clients or existing clients, making that shift from what should I do to anchoring to outcomes and options in the best next step. My attorney always trained me, it's not only your job to have my back, it's to have my front too. Where am I going to get jammed up and cut, whether I'm not prepared for a trial or a motion or a mediation or a presentation or what have you? Your job is to consistently look 30 days at a minimum into my future. And then the mindset and habits that build that are trust systems that make ownership safe, clear expectation, feedback loops, the ability to take responsibility when you mess up and you don't have any head trash or fear or story that you're going to get fired, that you're going to get reprimanded, that because you take full responsibility, ownership, and because you know you have the permission to say, hey, heads up real quick, I just totally messed that up. Here's what I did to fix it and what I'm going to do to smooth it over. Just want to give you a heads up. But they know the time and place of when to do that. They have the mindset to not tell you that before you're going into a conference room to close a potential $10,000 client. Your subconscious mind will be like, we can't take on another client because we F everything up, right? And we kind of go to extremes as entrepreneurs. You have to consistently build the mindsets and the habits within your team, which come in place with communication mastery step 3. Attorneys, leaders, entrepreneurs, this is someone you're not going to like. I'm just going to warn you. We are always so busy. We don't have enough time. I know how true that is. You have no idea. I would share my calendar right now and you would all be shaking your head and be like, exactly, you get it, you know it. How many of you are getting consistently peppered with got a minute interruptions where they're just out of hand? I had an attorney today who sent me their list of interruptions, and it was awesome because when I looked at it, it took me no less than a cup of coffee and 5 minutes and looked at that. I'm like, this is so amazing. This is 100% a breakdown from post engagement. Every single one of these interruptions are because of either a breakdown within your process or a misalignment within your process. It was like easy peasy. And it's with systematized cadence. You have to systematize. You attorneys, I love this now. More and more people are like SOPs, automations, process. Now, don't even get me into AI right now. But you guys finally embrace and love systemization, process, what have you, and really investing. I see the money, I see the headaches, the heartaches, and Lawmatics to Clio, Clio to Lawmatics to my case. I know you're always investing in up leveling and delegating and elegating, but you have to do that in your communication as well, especially with your team. You do this so well with your clients, and there's always areas for improvement to 10x that from over communication will win every single time. Tools that improve communication mastery. We've got to eliminate the gotta minutes, interruptions, where we at with this meetings, the emergency meetings that we put on because we missed X, Y, and Z, to installing daily huddles, weekly stakeholder meetings, and debriefs after every monumental meeting. Attorneys will tell me, I don't have time for that. Today in open coaching hour, literally had a new personal injury firm that came on there. 7 of their team members showed up and said, we are loving the daily huddles. But the attorney won't show up. They think they're a waste of time. They're not, what have you. But then they immediately shared after that their hair on fire because they have 2 trials they're prepping for, a mediation tomorrow, that the TV in the conference room's not even working. The attorney was at Best Buy buying the TV while we were in it, what have you. And the biggest stretch you all are going to have to get is giving your team time. At the core, you are hiring human beings first and foremost, especially in this post-COVID world, gang. Human beings are very, very simple creatures. They don't need more money. They don't need Cadillac benefits. They're not going to leave because, unlimited PTO and Fridays off and all the things we think of why people leave us. People leave us because at the core, you're hiring human beings and they need time, attention, and feedback. And you're like, well, that's great, but I am so strapped for time. I'm working 9 days a week and 73 hours a day. So I get it and I understand it, but you're going to buy back your time. God bless Dan Martell. Everybody loves and is on the Buy Back Your Time book. I see it in all the attorney private Facebook groups and the conferences that I go or what have you. I promise you, if you start systematizing your communication, daily huddles that are intentional, impactful, systems driven, non-attorney driven. Think about it. In the military, they call these stand-up meetings. In the sports profession or what have you, they call these halftime, timeouts. They don't just create a Super Bowl winning plan and go full throttle on the field and never stop and communicate with people. No, we have timeouts strategically and intentionally placed. We have halftime strategically, intentionally in place. We have locker room huddles. We have watching film after and dissecting everything. What didn't work? What didn't? This will transform your firm, your conversion rates, your no-show rates, your reschedule, cancel rate, and absolutely your conversion rates within the conference room, starting all the way from whatever you do for lead generation to get people into your funnel and into your ecosystem. Your people need time. This will transform everything in your life. It will get you back a minimum of 10 to 12 hours a week. We've tracked it. We've scheduled. That's just you as the golden goose head leader here. So this is what we install there. And that's going to be your biggest stretch, gang, of giving your team time and showing up for systematized communication to create communication mastery. Step 4 anchors into the data and the analytics. We delegate authority, not tasks. Right now, a lot of us are delegating tasks without the responsibility, authority, and permission to become legal leaders, leading legal leaders. And that's why we feel like we're in this consistent where you at loop, which is exhausting, and your confidence deflates by every single solitary email, Slack channel, task, text, whatever it might be, especially if you're doing this to 3, 4, 5 different people on the daily. Tools that build data and analytics. I cannot tell you how many law firms that I speak with that do not have a weekly law firm marketing meeting in their calendar. They're paying all of these outside legal vendors. Or my personal favorite is they're like, we don't really do marketing. We get all our business from referrals. I'm like, that's even more where you have to be anchoring to a proven structure system to run your law firm and to empower your team to be, you don't have to go out and hire a CMO, especially in this day and age. You're spending so much money. I see it every day on these CRMs, on these lead conversion things, on legal marketing vendors, what have you. And we have this kind of Oprah moment where we're like, oh my goodness, we're on a high because we turned the spigot on and the thing on and we're getting all these leads, but then scratching our heads 6 to 8 weeks or what, maybe 6 months later, whatever it is. And you're like, something's not computing here because the calendar, the ideal week, so go the calendar, so go cash flow is not matching up here. And now we're operating off of emotions and assumptions versus data and analytics. Weekly reporting mastery, where your law firm metrics are in action and analytics in action, and knowing the right metrics to track so we can make informed data driven decisions. And one of the things that we train within that, if you really want to build that, how many of you, maybe this will resonate with you, where you're having marketing meetings, maybe you are, but you don't have intake and client services, or if you have non-attorney salespeople in there, we're not tracking. Most people are tracking lead and they're to hire. That's the only conversion. There are like 7 other different metrics that are way before, if you're still the attorney in the conference room closing clients, that client services and marketing have for KPIs and for tracking. That's why you got to master KPIs and measuring success in every single solitary role, especially if they're quote unquote just the receptionist. I can't tell you how many law firms I talk to that still have that mindset around that. It's just a receptionist. I need just a receptionist or just an intake coordinator or just a client service coordinator. Think about this. That's the most important role in your law firm. If they do not do it right, your job as an attorney is irrelevant because you have no prospective clients to meet with. And if you don't have prospective clients to meet with, then you can't turn them into clients, which I always tell the employees, your boss does not write your paycheck, the clients do. They write all of our paychecks. So when we're building the data that match, going back to step 1, role clarity, job descriptions, the time templates and time chunking with the KPIs to ensure clarity, accountability, and measurable success. Yes, it's that easy, guys. That gets you to step 5, which is freedom. You lead the vision, not the operations. I hear this every single day. And if any of you are on the path of an exit strategy and selling your business and already in your 3, 5, or 10-year journey throughout that, you know that's the first question that they consistently ask. How much does this business depend on you? And they always start at the operations part. Most people think the valuation starts at the P&L, and the revenue part, that's the last part where they start looking at that. Yeah, you give them the numbers, but they're like, I want to see the proof in the pudding. So the true freedom I asked you earlier, hopefully you've been writing and taking stock and pausing. And if not, that's your assignment for the next week or so. I really want to hear from you all in regards to the articulation of what freedom looks like, walks like, talks like, behaves when you are just a visionary and holding that vision. Real freedom is when decisions don't bottleneck at your desk. And this is your assignment. Where do you have bottlenecks at your desk right now? Your team is driving outcomes, not tasks. Yes, the tasks are there for safety nets for us and driving the process, but your team is driving the outcomes. And that's something that, to my knowledge and experience, cannot be done just by automations and CRMs, and definitely not just by AI. You operate as a visionary and not a firefighter. Some of you might be in the thick of the burning building right now, This not to shame, blame, weaponize, and definitely don't do that to yourself. Be like Dora the Explorer right now. If any of you are old enough to, you are like going on a journey right now and you're getting deeply curious. Deep curiosity is the roadmap to clarity. Definitely for freedom, clarity of what that means for you. And get deeply curious about where you are feeling like a firefighter right now, where you are feeling like the bottleneck right now. And hopefully, we have attorneys and critical team members here together. Share this recording with your team member if they're not here today. Tools that build law firm freedom. Number one is entrepreneurship training that handles the mindset, the habits, the confidence, and leadership development. When I tell people, when people say to me, I really wish they would step up and lead, I'm like, tell me more about that. What does it look like? It typically get crickets. They cannot articulate that. Entrepreneurs in an entrepreneur's world, where I tell team members every day, number one job description, bullet point your job description is to become a mind reader. And yes, it is possible when you're deeply curious. Number two for you is to be a professional babysitter. Yes, I'll hear from team members all the time. I feel like a professional babysitter. You are, and what an honor. How wonderful, because that's what's going to build a law firm that is based on entrepreneurial freedom. We have communication playbooks. We are very clear. We're out of the communication ping pong game. We're out of the where we at with game. We are incredibly clear because we have communication standards and mastery right down to the Slack channel or the email or the texting or what qualifies as urgent and how, because we understand that because we have the emotional regulation. We are regulated leaders leading law firm leaders. We have quarterly planning framework. We're about to end Q1 here. Hard to believe. I am amazed in this day and age how many law firms do not do quarterly strategic retreats. How many law firms do not conduct employee growth plans on a quarterly basis with their team? But yet I'll see the same attorneys chasing answers and solutions. And again, this is no beat up session. It's just I'll see them organization hop, consulting hop, and putting so much pressure, talking about that pressure carrying it all. Well, still, when I hear those words, I'm like, oh, I feel every ounce of that pain. And it's so simple because you're trying to figure it all out on your own. Investing, and I will never, ever, ever, ever say a bad thing about anyone investing in coaching or consulting or what have you. I make my kids at 24 and 20. They always have to have a coach because we're not meant to do it alone. We're meant to fly further, faster. And sometimes it's just because we don't want to freak our team out if we really share all of our vision and everything we want. And you're trying to be so incredibly compassionate and conservative and respectful of that, or maybe you have in the past and it hasn't worked out. Quarterly planning framework. Again, guys, I hope you're seeing the theme here. It's stopping the habits of we're always busy. I tell the team members, like, I don't want to bother the attorney. They're so busy. We don't have enough time. Everyone's so busy. Eradicating that language and that mindset out of your business. The day we're not busy is the day we're out of business. Time management is a failed paradigm. It is about focus management and having hardwired frameworks in here. This is the only way that I've ever seen in helping my attorneys sell their practices and or get out of the conference room in the day-to-day so they could be the visionary, whatever it is. This is the only way that I've ever seen, and it requires time. You are putting in 10x more time than you should be, anyways, with all of the communication ping pong. Imagine if it was systematized and structured, just like your business model, just like the way that you serve clients. But we have to do it for our internal client first, which is our team. And we have consistent performance and check in and review, quarterly reviews, I put this term here because it's one that people tend to be able to understand, but I really like to call them in quarterly employee growth plans. Reviews, it is some people have a expectation that there's raises attached to that. And reinforcing expectations, doing that huddle again. What's working, what's not working, where are there missed opportunities? And it's all team led. It's all team led where you get to just show up and be the coach if you're still in the day-to-day operation. So many of you might be sitting here saying, will this actually work for my team? Yes. You don't have to make the mistake in thinking that now you have to do all of this, or that we can throw this into ChatGPT or AI. See people do that. That's a big mistake. Human beings anymore, you're probably seeing this everywhere, want connection. They want to go back to communication, especially and that's what your clients want, right? That's why many of you are very, very successful. You actually pick up your phone, you actually follow through, you actually meet with your clients, some of you in brick and mortar buildings or what have you. We're not legal Zoom. 10% of human beings actually implement a plan without the accountability, without the coaching, without the one-on-one communication. So a lot of times now more than ever, I'm seeing people just like throw that into Chat GPT, how to make my team more accountable, how to do what have you. I love AI. I'm leaning on it heavily for SOPs and automation and what have you. But at the end of the day, you're in the personal service industry. And that's why you're probably so successful, because you are actually, hopefully, pouring more and more and more into face to face. And I don't mean just in a brick and mortar building, but your intake team, your client service team, your client care team, actually picking up the phone. The phone will make you rich all day long. So we got to get back to more of those basics and those tried, tested, proven. So many people will say, who was your mentor? Think about that when you're hanging your own shingle. Think about when you're jammed up. You have your community and your legal organizations and your coaching organizations, consulting organizations, your masterminds or what have you. But we don't give this to our team. And they're really the glue and the golden ticket for that freedom that you deserve and crave. So when you stop trying to manage everything, I always tell my attorneys, stop investing in trying to become a better manager and leader. No, you just got to give your team time, attention, and feedback. You have to pour into the human beings that you paid to support you with this and give up the freedom and give up the control. And I know that's hard, and I'm not saying that recklessly. And I tell team members that all the time, unless you communicate and things are running smoothly and operating consistently, your attorney's going to still continue to white knuckle everything out of sheer habit, because that's what we've done when we hung our shingle, started our own business. But really getting back your time, freedom, and peace of mind. Nothing will make you happier when you show up in your next daily huddle and your team are presenting to you versus asking consistent questions. That's what regulates the nervous system. That's what increases confidence. And that's what absolutely allows you to delegate and elevate more. But your attorneys, we all love case studies. We all love proof of concept, and building a case is the job of the team member to support you with letting go of control. So I'd like to share with you of how I can virtually, literally hold your hand through this entire process of building a self-managed team. And it's called the 12-week Law Firm Admin Bootcamp. It is, like I said earlier, my greatest pride and joy. Yes, I am going to have on my tombstone, transforming law firms one employee at a time, because I know what it did for me when I was 27 years old. And I know what it did when our attorney allowed us to create a key assistant program when the attorneys were getting the coaching at the same time, to get you out of feeling consistently buried, possibly burned out or on the brink of burnout, and not having burnout resiliency. When they talk about mindset, that's one of the trainings we work paramount on for the team member of burnout resiliency. For me, for you, for us. For me, meaning you as an employee, for you as the attorney, and the us as your clients and community referral sources that you support and serve, who ultimately write our paychecks. So getting into clear, strategic, and without clarity and without that strategic, my experience, there's never a lack of strategy, especially in this AI driven world. We can put any problem into ChatGPT and get this strategy. It's no lack of strategy. It's really the implementation. And the implementation does not happen because we don't have the communication mastery baked in and built into our weekly, daily planning to do that locker room huddle. So many disasters and chaos can be prevented with that. So we train your team who drives and embraces accountability, runs operations, and protects your not only your time but your energy. As I train the team members in Law Firm Admin Bootcamp, money is energy. We are all responsible for the energy we bring in the room and we lead in the room. So if I can build a self-managed teams with over 5,000 law firms, so can your firm. You get to skip the overwhelm, skip the confusion of how do I implement all these 5 steps, Molly, how to handle the missteps, and for you to be able to be protected from those missteps because your team's got it. And this is really what we do in the 12-week Law Firm Admin Bootcamp. I'm going to walk you through this step by step. We're going to get to Q&A, and I'm going to hit some of the pre-sent questions that were sent to me around this. Strategically implemented and crafted in this order, starting with accountability and deadlines, how to make that shift from employee to an entrepreneur in an entrepreneur's world. Week 2, the mindset, habits, behaviors of high-performing law firm teams. Guess what, attorney? You don't have to be in these trainings. You get to delegate all the management and leadership and empowerment that you've been trying to carry alone and carry the load on your back. Week 3, we go into how to effectively lead, manage, and facilitate internal and external conversations in got a minutes. How great would that be if we got out of the got a minute world? Week 4, we go through understanding, owning, and working your job descriptions. This is one of my favorite modules in here because guess what? They're not coming to. I can't tell you how many team members, when I say job descriptions, they'll say, I'm waiting on the attorney or I'm waiting on the office manager to get that to me. Or I hear from attorneys of, well, I have on my to-do list that I have to work on job descriptions. People need to be a part of a creation to take full ownership. So you get to take that off your plate, especially if they already have them. Do we know if they're working? Do we know if they're still real? Do we know if they're built for growth and scaling up? Week 5, we go into how to create a law firm system without the attorney, having them pick the biggest breakdown within the firm, one critical constraint, in doing this on their own, and then coming to you with a presentation for process improvement and enhancement, including the why, how it's going to impact collapse time, condense time, and increase the client experience. Week 6, we work on time and money, creating your ideal law firm week. My favorite thing is when people walk in and say, we're 2 initial consultations short from hitting our ideal week. We already know we don't have enough. They know exactly how many sales meetings you need on your calendar, if you call them initial consults or what have you, how many leads we need to back into that, what our conversions are from lead to step 1 in your process, why we're not closing in the conference room, what's occurring there, operating and creating the ideal law firm week. So often team members don't know that. The attorney might have a number that they're working with their business coach, consultants, and C-suite team or what have you. But so go the calendar, so go cash flow. And sometimes people don't want to share monthly revenue numbers. That's okay. Just share appointments. Appointments are the exact same thing as revenue and the life cycle of a lead and the life cycle of a matter. Week 7, we go into 9 ways to respectfully focus your boss. Effective keys to support on a daily basis. Just today, we had a firm that showed up in Law Firm Admin Bootcamp Coaching and Growing Hour we do every Thursday, and literally saying, I can't get my attorney. All they have to do is sign. They have 3 files that are sitting there, and I can't get them to do it. I'm like, you got to communicate the why, gang. You have to speak in their listening in a way that makes it different. Yes, you have to become that professional babysitter. You know where the break is in their calendar. Go in there, get the pen ready, have the documents, and communicate to them. There's like $47,000 in revenue attached for that. They just need the attorney to review it. No entrepreneur is excited about reviewing documents, right? We put off the admin things or what have you, but you have to speak into the why. This is what we talk about in week 7, really holding the attorney's feet to their dreams, sometimes in spite of themselves, because it feels like boring work or admin work. But when you're like, hey, $47,000, you like money? Do you like delivering to the client? Are you cool with that? And having fun with it, always having fun with it, and gamification. Week 8, we talk about the weekly law firm marketing blueprint for success, even if, especially if you do not have a quote unquote marketing department. Guess who your marketing department is? Your intake team. The answer's in the room. Your intake team knows more about what's broken in your business and the solution than you can possibly ever imagine. You just got to ask them. You just have to give them space and grace to be able to share that. Week 9, we go into weekly reporting mastery, law firm metrics and analytics in action daily. Your team is looking at this daily. They know the key critical numbers to support. 10, we go into mastering your KPIs, measuring success in every single solitary law firm role. Once again, not led by the attorney. Then we move into how to create and lead firm-wide quarterly strategic planning retreats. Guess who's not preparing the agenda? Guess who's not coming with all of the quarter in review and identifying the 4 power projects to reach your impact and your income? You, attorney. This is led by your critical team member. And then lastly, we go into employee growth plan and incentive-based compensation structures that once again aren't dependent on you to identify. They're creating it. When people are part of the creation, they will take a bullet for everything. And guess what else happened? Not only do you meet, but you exceed those goals. So here's some questions that I get. What if my admin isn't ready for this level of responsibility? This is great because we're going to lead with your first bonus, which is a private VIP strategy kickoff call with an onboarding and implementation coach. For this cohort, I'm going in personally. So for the first 10 firms, I think we have 3 or 4 spots left. I'm personally going in. We only open up Law Firm Admin Bootcamp 4 times a year. So some of you joined in December. I see some people here who joined with us in December and are here for a refresher today. We're opening again in March, and it won't be till September. So we're going to identify if your person's ready for that level of responsibility. What if they get stuck? Who do they need to go to troubleshoot? We have a private monthly breakdown to breakthrough session for our entire 12 weeks. They have access to my calendar, to my coaches' calendars. We also have private group open coaching and growing hour. What I love about that is it's support team from all over the country that are serving law firms across the country. And one of the things is they start creating buddy coaches in there. So they have their own private mastermind for people that are sitting in the same roles as they are to be able to lean on. We have that every Thursday from 2 to 3 Eastern. Every session's being recorded. Some people that can attend live if they're in a conference room or serving clients always get comments where they re-listen to the recording on the soccer field, what have you. And yes, attorneys, you get to listen to it too. So for those of you that are with us today, I'm giving you, if for those that join, this we're closing the doors on the 20th of March, getting a VIP private strategy kickoff call with me personally. This is why we only open up the program 4 times a year. Private, yes, attorneys. Yeah, someone just private messaged me this. Yes, attorneys, you can have a call with me too if you have got a minute or you want to have a private call because you're jammed up. I'm here for the entire firm. You get a monthly breakdown to breakthrough session for the 12 weeks with me personally. Lifetime access to the entire academy, including all of our 24/7 on-demand training modules that we have. Our smart hire solution process, many of you all know that we do legal recruiting. We charge $25,000 for our entire process. What I love about the boot camp is our students no longer have to depend on us. I give you our entire smart hire solution process of what we do to find rockstar candidates in this 1.2% unemployment rate in the legal space, which is just insane. And then we schedule a revenue leak audit and intake and strategy session. Hopefully you see the theme in the 5 steps to freedom. I'm a lunatic about the front of the house. I love that's where I started. I started out as quote unquote just a receptionist. Then I moved into client services. And then I started investing in my own coaching with my attorney and then moved into a practice advisor. And what I love about the revenue leak audit and intake strategy sessions, you don't have to fix it, attorney. You don't have to know the powerful questions and you don't have to come up with this solution. You just have to show up on the call with the team and allow us to give them the framework and the freedom to turn it around for you. So our standard offer for Law Firm Admin Bootcamp, lifetime access to the 12-week Law Firm Admin Bootcamp program. I love the firms that use this as part of their onboarding. We get emails every single day. Hey, we just hired this person. Hey, add this person to the bootcamp. It's so great that we can be part of an extension of your onboarding and employee empowerment program. You get a private strategy kickoff call with our onboarding and implementation coach. For this cohort that I'm opening up in March, I am personally going in for R&D for me and going back in and working with just 10 law firms. We'll have a monthly private breakdown to breakthrough session for the entire 12 weeks with our onboarding and implementation coach. Beyond the 12 weeks, you get access to our calendar as well for lifetime. I have people that have been in this program for 10 years that I'll show up on my calendar every single solitary month just because they want to have that kind of booster shot in their check-in. We have live weekly coaching and growing hour for the entire team. Every Tuesday, we do marketing power hour. We have virtual assistants in the Philippines and Central America, India, all over the world that are serving as intake coordinators and or marketing coordinators. Every Thursday, we do open coaching and growing hour that I lead personally, and we bring all our breakdowns, bring all our breakthroughs from intake to client services to operations, what have you. And you get to hear from firms all over the country. Unlimited seats per firm. I am very passionate about this. How many of you get, myself included, when you buy new software or anything, they're charging you per head and per seat. I don't want a nickel and dime. I don't want to limit your exposure and your success for your whole firm. And then, like I said, just for this cohort, we're not opening the doors until September. Again, I'm going in personally, and we're going to have a VIP strategy kickoff call. You have to show up for this, attorney. You can't delegate it. We're going to do a private monthly breakdown to breakthroughs and accountability call for every 12-week to get you to that finish line of completion for the 5 steps to freedom. lifetime access to the entire academy, including all of our past trainings that we've done, the mindset coaches that we've brought in, different professionals in the space of, by and large, a lot of them in the estate planning, probate, trust admin, and Medicaid arena to support with getting the attorney out of the conference room. How do we launch workshops for lead generation? Everything that we have recorded over the past 20, almost 9 years now, you get full access to. Smart Hire Solution Process, like I said, you get our entire process. And then the revenue leak audit and intake strategy are part of the fast action bonuses today. So the total value of all of our modules that we have in here would be close to $136,000. What it costs for this cohort is $19.97. I'm incredibly aware of budget constraints that law firms have, especially for my small solo business owners here. And yes, we have payment plans. We get asked this all the time. I'm a huge fan of that as well. So you could either do 6 installments or one-time pay. And all you have to do is go to lawfirmleader.com/yes and sign up. And here's the question I really want to ask for you all today. If your current situation where you are sitting right now, where you're feeling the bottleneck, you're feeling like a firefighter, you're feeling like nothing moves without you, or maybe things are moving too fast without you, and we have no standards or system in place, and you're living in the place of a 2 o'clock in the morning, wonder and worry, sweats, where your team is waiting for you to give you that freedom. I hear this every single day. Business would be great, but for the employees, what I would hear at the cocktail parties and the coffee breaks and what have you. But what I hear from the team member every day is it would be so great if the attorney would just let go and let me lead. But you all feel like you don't have the time to, or it needs to be in a beautifully packaged bow, which I love because you want to be responsible and courteous for that. But your team is like, just puke it out, give it to me, and let me take a stab at it in 80% and come back to you in percent for you. And that's why I created the law firm leader, so they can fly further faster. So they have a community just like you have in all of your legal and entrepreneurial and business communities. This is my favorite part. 100% money back guarantee. If you show up and do the work for 12 weeks and you are not satisfied, 100% gladly refund your money. I remember early on, I had a firm that got on my calendar, like, we need our money back. We don't have time to do this. We're so stressed out. We didn't realize how much work. Mike, I will gladly give you your money back. Give me 12 weeks, 1 hour a week, go through the program. I don't even care if you show up for open coaching hour at the end of the 12 weeks, 100% you're getting money back. Tears from team members saying, thank you for forcing us, making us do this. Thank you for holding our feet because you knew what was possible for us. We're no longer operating in chaos. We are no longer operating on hair on fire. The time to change a tire is not when you're going 20 or 95 miles down the highway. We need the power of the pause. You're putting the time in anyways. You're just typically very frustrated and resentful for it because it is a constant playing whack-a-mole and putting out fires, and we feel like we can never get ahead. So when you go, you enroll, you choose what seat's best for you, you put your information in there, then you got to do the intake form. Guys, this is where attorneys are like, man, that was cathartic. I'm very intentional about every single question that is asked on this intake form. And yes, your team's going to fill one out too. This is your prep work before we get on our VIP call. You'll get an email with the intake form. You'll get an email of your purchase confirmation. Then you go in and you log in and we start the course. I have a welcome video here for you to start. I have a syllabus and an implementation guide for your team. As you can see here, we have over 425 lessons beyond the 12 weeks. And sometimes, yes, people, yeah, I just got this question in the chat. Yes, if you have an intake team, some of them may fast track and go to our 9 module intake academy. That's just one of the lessons that we have there. Yes, if you have a marketing team, they might fast track and go right to the marketing module, whether it's learning how to increase your Google reviews, get workshops or seminars launched, or get meta ads launched or what have you. So there are, but we will discern and discover that on our kickoff call. When we do our VIP strategy kickoff call, so often when we have people join, they're like, well, who should be in here? How many people should be? Let's get on our call and we'll discern and decide and get each person on their right path. Because yes, there are times this came up where people have to go outside that 12-week module because you have a real pain or a real opportunity that we want to capitalize on. So that's what you'll experience as self-managed team. Trust in your systems and your people. Like nothing is greater when your people start showing up differently, communicating like CEOs. You're able to delegate decisions, not just tasks, because your experience, consistency, persistency, and you still, yes, 100%, you'll feel like you're in control. And yes, you're going to be able to reclaim your energy, starting with your mental, the 2 o'clock in the morning freakouts, and your mental bandwidth, because you can't get clear when you have all this head trash and noise that is occurring where you're ruminating and running consistent loops and patterns in your head. And that's the only way that I've ever seen, gang, is to increase profitability is your people, your process, and your production impact your profitability. So to get started, here's where you go, lawfirmleader.com. And if all this program did was give your team that follows through, wouldn't that be worth it? I know myself when I don't have to worry about things because I have a self-managed team. What if it just freed up the 10 hours of communication ping pong and the back and forth? And you, as an attorney, as an entrepreneur, you got that back, the visionary. Wouldn't it be worth it? And if you, this is the greatest retention tool, I cannot say enough. When in our recruiting side of our business, here's a tip for you all. Give your people time. They won't ever leave you. So many people, when I'm like, why are you talking to a recruiter today? And you may or may not like to hear this, but it's so simple. Like, I need more opportunity. There's no room for growth here. When I peel away those layers of onion, like, tell me a little bit about your quarterly strategic retreats. Tell me a little bit about your law firm daily huddle. Tell me about your communication standards. Tell me about the structure in regards to your last performance review. Crickets, crickets, crickets. It wasn't that they're looking for money, more money, that they were looking for the Cadillac benefits and unlimited PTO and this work from home thing that people think that's all people want to do is work in their pajamas. No, that's really not true. People start asking for these things when they're not seeing the value of the connection with being in the office. They're human beings first and foremost. This is the simplest hack that you could take away today is really pouring into your people. I've had people take $50,000 pay cuts just to walk into a firm. Culture, which is another term that is so fuzzy and very elusive anymore. But they will take a $50,000 pay cut to find a law firm that has this structure where your voice matters. We want more of it, not less of it. That we have a system in place for collaboration, for communication. That we have a system in place where we actually put our oxygen mask on ourselves first and take ourselves out of the office and do quarterly planning and strategic retreats, that we do employee growth plans to really check in on where you're set up for success, where the opportunities are for you. This isn't about raises. Really, truly, when people start talking about more money, and this is another tip for you, if you have people in your office that are consistently coming in asking for a raise or leaving because of more money, It's not the truth. You have a culture problem. And everything we talked about today is 5 steps to really identify your culture. Culture is not a quote that you buy from TJ Maxx home and throw on your reception area. People misunderstand that. Family first. You know if you're family first or not. Sometimes it's family second when we're planning for a trial. We know one of my core values within my organization is extreme accountability, first and foremost. So be clear. People love some of these more heady, hard ones in your face cultures, mission, statements, what core values, whatever terminology resonate, because they're truth telling. And maybe your core values aren't telling the truth about really what you want. Maybe you're not even clear. Maybe you hijacked them off of somebody's Facebook post because they sounded really cool and sexy. I don't know. What this program will absolutely do all of that and more. And you might have doubts. You might want a team that runs a firm, but what if your team resists accountability and deadlines? My experience, they don't resist it. They're begging for it. They just don't know what these words mean. Some people, when you talk about accountability, I'm like, me what pops. They're misguiding that with micromanagement. They think deadlines are about lack of trust. They have all this head trash around these terminologies. And yes, there might be somebody who does truly have a resistance to this. And guess what? They have been causing a lot of danger within your firm. Yes, there are people, someone just asked this in the chat. Yes, there are people that self select out going through this process. Yes, there are people that get help with exiting off the bus throughout this process, but you're shining the flashlight on every single area of your business. And I had an attorney tell me this today. He's like, said to his paralegal sitting with him in our onboarding call, and he's like, gosh, I need to apologize for you. I should have gotten rid of so and so 6 months ago. I knew it and I saw it then. And I buried my head in the sand because I didn't know what to do with it. Guess what? The person self selected out on week 1 within this program, which was such a blessing and a gift because it ended well. What if my admin doesn't make decisions without me? Here's where we're going. How to create a law firm system without the attorney. When they're given the permission and excitement, almost like, let's try it on. You go shopping and you're in that dressing room or what have you. You buy stuff, you try it on, it doesn't fit, we take it off. But what if you had a team that 80% things for you? Versus constantly staring at you and waiting for you. Or maybe you have a secret notebook of all the projects that you feel like you have to create because you're the owner, the operator, the leader, what have you. You don't have to do it. What an honor it is for your attorney to say to you, I know there's a breakdown between this step and this step within the process. Take a whack at it. I'll pay for pizza. You guys take an hour, go to the whiteboard in the conference room, figure it out, and come to me with a proposed solution. Your team would be over the moon to be able to do that because you gave them the permission. I know you're busy. I know we don't have any time, but we're not changing the tire going 95 miles down the highway. I'm giving you the gift and the space and the grace and the silence. We'll have phones go on do not. I don't care. This is that important to me to give you all an hour to figure this out and come back or whatever it might be. So let me just share with you about Rebecca. And I don't know, Bless, if you can get the podcast that I did with Rebecca, but Rebecca came to me. Yeah, she is about 28 months into starting her law firm, maybe a little longer now. And Rebecca came as a solo practitioner, and she came to me with her and one full-time person, one part-time person came there. They were kind of wearing multiple hats. Victoria was on intake, and they just were all doing everything, new practice, new business, starting everything. And Rebecca came to me and said, I don't want to become a better manager and leader. I really want to be a visionary and I really want to serve clients. our phone's ringing, and I don't know if my team's happy. I don't know if they're in the right seat, if they're in the right role. I'm delegating all this to you, Molly. I'm like, okay, no pressure here, which it wasn't. And I was so excited. And we very quickly figured out in regards to her admin team, they weren't sure if they were ready for it, but what they did want was clarity. And very quickly, we found out that Victoria, who was working on intake, working part time, in addition to opening up new matters, they do veterans disability firm, very successful firm, what have you, that she couldn't do it all. And she was so afraid to tell Rebecca. She didn't want to disappoint Rebecca. She didn't want to seem like a team player. Guys, your team members have these stories in their head too. I'm like, you're harming the business by not sharing that. Let's have the conversation. So we realized that we were going to bring on Caleb to just work on the intake. He very, very quickly stepped into full ownership of the systems, the KPIs, and team accountability. He came in for intake and quickly saw the opportunity, started implementing the daily huddle, started implementing the weekly stakeholders meeting. Caleb, I love when he planned their entire first quarterly strategic retreat. He became the operational backbone that allowed the attorney to step out of the weeds to get their perspective out of that. He showed up at Open Coaching and Growing Hour right now. He just shared with me that they are onboarding 3 more new team members. So I think they're like a team of 16 right now, in less than 2 years. It's not about more. Sometimes less is more, but because every single KPI in hiring capacity was intentional and focused to see where they were losing opportunity, if they didn't have 3 people on intake and so on and so forth. He grew from just a support staff coming in as intake to a trusted strategic partner in running the firm. He is operating as the director of operations. He's handling all the hiring. They no longer use us as a recruiter, which is music to my ears because they're using our smart hire solution in law firm admin bootcamp, and Caleb is handling all of that. He shared today that Victoria is going on maternity leave at the end of April, so in just about a month. And he shared today she was the very first employee, tribal knowledge everywhere. He's like, oh my goodness, we are finally set up a month early for Victoria to take 6 weeks off and go on maternity leave for her second child. He's like, it was an act of God to get every password into every system and what have you, but we did it and now it's completely systematized. And she was very stressed out about going on maternity leave. When she called me and said, I'm deathly afraid to tell them I'm pregnant again. So it was great. Talk about true entrepreneur. She wasn't worried about losing her job. She was worried about balls being dropped in the firm. So here's where you go. I would love to work with your firm. I'm going to go into the chat here, make sure I hit every single solitary question. If we sign up today, can we wait a week to fill out the intakes or no? Absolutely, you can wait. That's a great question. Lifetime access. So if you sign up today, you will get a secured spot to work with me personally. And I have some people right now that are asking that question too. And absolutely, we will save time on your calendar. I just need to know when you're ready. I know, understand people have heavy court dockets and things of that nature. Yes, absolutely. Honor your insane deadlines. Absolutely. And just make sure that when you do that, my team will reach out to you and you have full permission to say, put us off for a week, 2 weeks, a month, whatever it is for you. Bless, thank you for putting that in the chat for the podcast with Rebecca. Absolutely, absolutely recommend that you listen to that. One of my favorite podcasts. Definitely need the smart hire process. That's what I love about that, Brian, is that you have it for life. And walking through our methodical process, also your team hopefully you're delegating this, or yourself if you're a solo practitioner, get to lean on us and have us look at some of the resumes or the interviews that you're doing. We have a deep discount with Jay Henderson's Real Talent Hiring. So all of our Smart Hire Solution and Law Firm Admin Bootcamp members get our access to that. I think it's $150 versus $350 for that psychological test. So yes, the Smart Hire Solution, that's all you did was join the program for that for $1997 versus paying $25,000 for that process. So who's the best person to put in the program? Your critical team member is the best person. So for some of you, it might be your receptionist. It's not ideal for a true paralegal. You want people post-engagement in production, attorneys, paralegals, focusing on revenue producing activities, unless your paralegal also has the management and leadership bug. I will say, in the DNA for that. So I like a firm I met with today. She's a paralegal, but also the office manager. They're a team of 27, and she's able to do that for her soul. She's a paralegal, and she still wants to work certain cases. But you might have a paralegal, and that's all that you have right now. It's a great person. Again, you have lifetime access to start interviewing them and get on that VIP call, and they will tell us everywhere that there's bottlenecks. If nothing else, can start going through the time effectiveness exercise and figuring out where the bottlenecks are, they might skip directly to that module to figure out where your next critical hire is, and while figuring out how we're going to pay for this person. Because so often people are like, we're not even making the revenue we need to make today, but how are we going to afford to pay for someone? Well, chances are you're not making the revenue because we have gaps and we have critical constraints within the business. So it's not the fee of hiring someone, it's a cost if we do not. And then I'm a huge fan of gamification and figuring it out. No, you're not going to write a $50,000 check if that's a going market for client services, intake coordinator, or what have you. Just have to chunk it out into monthly and how we're going to get a 3 to 4x return. So you might just have you and a paralegal in there. The paralegal might not be going through the program. Typically, I get resistance from paralegals because paralegals typically like paper, not people, in the touchy-feeling management and daily huddle. Some do, some embrace that, but we want to get them in there because they are paper and analytic masters. So they're going to do a lot of that data of where there's a breakdown in process, where there's a breakdown in the life cycle of a case, where we're missing opportunity. They might be answering the phones and doing the work, which, just FYI, if you have paralegals answering your phone, that is your greatest opportunity. Paralegals typically do not love being front lines. They typically do not love being on the phones. They want to be in the back working on contracts and process and paper and what have you. So it's just a great opportunity. If it's just you and a paralegal, let's get on that VIP kickoff call, and they will help become an analytic maniac for you to figure out, because they want the freedom just as much as you do. And in this day and age, we got to love on our paralegals with the unemployment rate of 1.2%. We want to get them the freedom and the time and the white space and grace that you all are hungry for, because they're really your second in command and an extension of you for the client. Okay, 2 minutes over, not bad. All right, guys, I hope to see you inside. I hope to have the opportunity to work with your firm. We're going to send the recording. In addition, we are going to send the 5-step freedom framework workbook for you all. No suffering in silence. If we can help in any way, even if it's a hop on a call with me, bless, will you put my email? It will also be in the recording, Molly at hiringandempowering.com. Literally, truly, I want to hear from you. I want to hear what freedom looks like, walks like, talks like, acts like for you. And I want to support you with getting there, whether it's through the program or hopping on a complimentary call and giving you some drive-by coaching to implement today. I got you. I want you to reach out. I want to hear from you. And I hope to see all of you in the program. Have a great evening. Thank you for my East Coast people that hung in here.